Okay guys, off you go. Ride safely.
Hi everyone, welcome to another race analysis video. This is round 4 of the Vets Team Series race. We're at Victoria Park. I'm racing for RoKiT Racing. We're currently sitting second overall in the team's classification. Nick Steele is 1 point up in the sprint and I'm 1 point up in the overall. Bit of an interesting race. Probably 3 or 4 of the best sprinters weren't here. Baxter was sick. I'm not sure where Louis was. And so this is an opportunity for me to really get some points in the overall. And also an opportunity for our team to get some team points. It's a flat crit, we've got a team of sprinters, so let's see how we go. So we've just finished the first preem sprint. Greg Jackson's off the front, but Nick Steele's managed to get all the points from the bunch. And as usual, after a preem sprint, attacks start going. So a small group gets off the front. I'm close enough to the front at this point that I get to go with it. And then USG does a really good one too. So USG's in the red. They were really active this race. Their mate goes off the front, and this guy here just starts soft pedaling, which is really good tactics. A few people try to follow it, and I'm going to go with this and see what happens. Now looking in the rear camera, you can see that the USG rider just coming into view now, he's going to let a few guys get up the road, and then he's just going to soft pedal, and that lets a gap open up, and we get a little bit of space. Unfortunately though, that one all does come back together, and it's on to the next one. A few laps later, and this time there's an attack going off from Phil, one of my riders, my team. I'm in a good position here. I can see 2 of my guys in that break, so I'm not going to do any work chasing. Although when someone comes past on my left, I'm going to try to get on that wheel and get a free ride up there. Now this is an interesting situation because whilst Phil, if he gets away in a break by himself with say 5 or 6 other riders from other teams, he's definitely strong enough to win that race and get the points. But it is a teams race, and it's not just about the overall individual points. We're actually aiming for the team series, and so if Phil wins it, but there's 9 other riders from other teams, then they might actually get more points in the teams classification. And so I'm going to follow anything that goes with that, and hope that it all comes back together again. And sure enough, it does. So we're now a lap after the second cream sprint. Nick Steele's won this one just about by himself. So he's taken a good lead into the sprints competition, but once again the attacks start flying immediately afterwards. This one's looking pretty good. There's about 6 or 7 riders up ahead of me. I'm going to bridge across to it. You can see the sprinklers have come on, which made for a bit of interesting racing near the top of that corner. And on the face of it, it's looking pretty good. We've got a reasonable gap pretty quickly, but unfortunately people start to soft pedal, and the group comes back to us pretty quickly. Jumping forward a bit, everyone's looking back. And then a few attacks come from this group. It is a pretty big group, and some attacks start going from it. And you can see just as we're attacking off the front of it, there's people joining on from the group out the back. And this actually works pretty well. The first group didn't stay away, but the attack from it did get a bit of space. I could see that there was a gap opening up, and so I decided to get on the front. Unfortunately, I do a little bit too much here, and rather than bringing people with me, I just open a gap of my own. And it takes quite a while for someone from, you guessed it, USG to make it across. He does make it across, but by the time he does, he's pretty gassed, and so we don't have a whole lot to work with going forward from there. He gets on a few seconds later and comes through for a turn, but unfortunately already by this point, because I've slowed down a little bit, the group's coming back to us. He flicks the elbow in a little bit, but at this point I've made the call that we've come back, the group's come back. And so I'm not willing to pull through again, at least at this point. So he flicks the elbow, I'm not willing to do a turn. I do then look back and see that although there were people coming across, it's not actually the whole group. And at that point I decide I'm going to commit to it a bit more and head up to 400 watts for a bit, and then just try to get people working through. We do a little bit of work in a rotation, but there's more individuals coming across one by one, gradually pulling the peloton across, and in the end it doesn't really go anywhere. Alright, 3 laps to go, and I'm now starting to think about getting up to the front. Now, always it seems on this little stretch you can move up really easily on the right hand side if you're going down the back straight. It's a cross tailwind at this point, and so a little bit of effort can move you right up near the front, and I do that quite a few times through this race. I got up actually to the front, and this guy from Black Chrome decides he's going to do an absolutely monster turn, and I'm not sure what he's doing. His sprinter Baxter isn't here, and in the end I don't think anyone from Black Chrome actually got points today. so no one made it into the top 10, but this is seriously an impressive turn. He goes for about a lap and a half. I'm sitting in second wheel. I'm having the perfect pull, and honestly, if this was my lead-out guy, I'd be buying him a beer at the end of this. But eventually he does blow up, and we get a little bit swamped. But this was suiting me perfectly because it was a nice steady pace. I was sitting in a perfect draft. I was going into the corners in a straight line. I wasn't having to fight for wheels. And so for the last lap and a half, I've just been conserving energy, and it set me up really perfectly for what is the finale of the race. So here we are. We're coming into 2 laps to go, and who launches an attack off the front but USG in the red. They really animated this race. And the nice thing about this is it really once again raised the pace, and I'm still close enough to the front that although I'm having to do a bit of work to get back up to speed to go with it, I'm basically to the very end of the single file line, at the very front of the washing machine, and so I'm feeling like I'm in a pretty good spot. I am fighting a little bit for this wheel here, and I'm on the wrong side for the wind, so instead of being on that protected right hand side here, I'm on the left. That's okay, they do move over, and I'm going to use this opportunity once again to move up a bit further. And at this point I can see my team right there. There's 3 of us there, Bootsy, Phil and Nick on the front. All of these guys are really strong sprinters, and here I am thinking that I've got the perfect lead out train, so I'm yelling at them, yelling at Phil to follow Nick, yelling at Boots to follow Phil. Unfortunately the pace does slow down a bit and things get a bit swamped. So I'm now starting to think about how I'm going to win this race. As you've seen in a couple of the previous laps, I've always been moving up on the back straight on the right hand side. And so what I'm thinking is going into the last lap, I want to be as close to the front as possible, but I'm willing to give up a few spaces if I can get myself over to that protected right hand side in the last back straight. Now, the chaos here and the fact that there's really no control on the front and the pace isn't fast enough means that trying to get across to the other side of the pack, I'm losing quite a few positions. I'm kind of trying to stay on my teammates' wheels, but we've all gotten a bit separated and it's all gotten a bit chaotic, so I decided to basically lead myself out and try to get close to the front by myself. Attacks come from the right, which is great. Again, it gets the pace back up, and the nice thing about this course is when it's moving fast, you can move around the bunch really well. I can see a couple of my teammates up the front. I know I've got some wheels if I can get to them, but once again I'm really wanting to move up on that right hand side coming up the back straight. I thought I had a bit of a gap there on my right. Unfortunately someone else came through, but I'm going to lose a wheel here and then make a bit of an effort here. Now I can see I'm too far back. I'm not happy with where I am, and so I'm going to light up the afterburners a bit here and just do everything I can to try to get close to that front group. It's a little bit sketchy. A few people are coming through, also have the same idea as me, trying to get up on the right. And then I get this nice little tow from SA Fabricators here, which brings me up to that front group. Now, a theme in a lot of my videos is that I always think that I leave it too late to open up my sprint, so I decide I'm going to go here. USG pushes me off to the left. I felt like he swung out from the middle all the way to the left, but that's fine. I went over the rumble strip. Fortunately, didn't pop a front tyre, and once I got round the corner, just opened up with everything I had. I normally wait until the guy in front of me is about here before I start sprinting, but I finally learnt my lesson from all those races where that guy just ends up holding on a bit longer than I think he can. This time I don't wait that long, and I managed to drop everyone as I'm coming across the line. And that was the race. Probably one of my longer sprints. The team did really well to come with me. We did really well. We got first, I think we got 4th, 5th, 7th and 10th. So in the team's classification we did really well. Great showing from Team RoKiT. We got ourselves to the top of the team's classification, kept Nick at the top of the sprints, and I kept the overall. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.